Hi everyone. So I wanted to do this video because Father's Day is coming up and I just got off the phone with my daddy. And I just wanted to, share the story that I've shared before. So one thing that I dislike about when it comes to women is the identification or the labeling of women as having daddy issues. And I know people have said it before, but I'm going to say it again. It's like we're labeling women or blaming women for being traumatized by the trauma they experience with their fathers. So I don't like the term daddy issues in terms of women, when in fact it was actions of adult men who traumatized their children. And so yeah, to that. Um, but trigger warning, I'm just going to slightly mention domestic violence. So I grew up in a very traumatic household. We did have really, really good days, but there were days where there was domestic violence. And I witnessed a lot of that. And that led me to be terrified of my father. Um, I began to first develop signs of PTSD when I was really young, and didn't even realize that I was having trauma responses. Because when people would go into a room and they would argue, my heart would start pumping and racing, and I would get nervous and fearful, and I was having nightmares, and all of those things were trauma responses that I was experiencing as a child. And I kept to myself because I thought, this is normal. And those are things that went on until I was around the age of 12 or 13 when my parents divorced. From that time, from the age of 13 to almost 18, close to 19. I think it was 19. From 13 to 19, my dad really was not very involved in my in my life. I saw him, or me and my siblings, we saw him here and there, and I was very excited to see him, but he just wasn't a constant. And I remember it was my sophomore year in college, and I was sick. I had the flu, and I was in my dorm room, and that's when we still had the landlines. And I get a phone call, and it's my dad. And my dad is talking to me, asking me how I was doing. And I told him, it's like, I'm doing fine. I'm not expecting much of the conversation. And my dad said something that catches me off guard. He said, I called you to check on you, but I also called you to say that I'm sorry. And I was just like, sorry for what? And he was like, I'm sorry that I wasn't there, um, when you were growing up. And he apologized to me for all the things that I had to witness. And for me, hearing a grown man like apologize to me, one, took me back, but also gave me an opportunity to experience two things. One, what a sincere apology from a parent looks like, and two, what sincere forgiveness looks like. I remember after that phone call, later that year, my grandpa, my dad's father, had passed away. And me and my sisters, we were all, trying to get in his lap and stuff. And this woman said, Benny, your girl's all over you. And he said, that's because I don't, he said this in front of everyone at the church. He said, that's because I don't see them the way that I'm supposed to. And he's like, but that's going to change. And literally from that moment, since I was 19 or 20 years old, my father has been a present force um, in my life. My father would come and pick me up. And this is me as an adult woman, would come and pick me up and drive me from one sister's house to the next to move when I was becoming too emotionally overwhelmed and I was up and quitting jobs. My father helped me process, not having my my daughter full time because I was recovering from living with and learning how to manage living with bipolar disorder. You know, my father had walked me down the aisle. Um, my father today, I got off the phone with him. I wasn't feeling well yesterday or this morning. He called and said, I'm just calling to see how you were doing. I was worried about you. Um, the thing that I don't think my father understood what he did for me that day when he apologized is he planted a seed within me to let me know, even with my own child, that I need to be able to apologize to her whenever I have wronged her. And he showed me what true change behavior um, looks like. And he showed me um, what being vulnerable looks like. Because when you're an adult, or really when you're anybody, you don't have to go to anyone and say anything, and you surely don't have to ask for forgiveness. But the fact that my father did those things um, really, you know, put me on the path that I don't think that I would have been on if I did not receive that gift from him. And I feel like it was a gift for both of us because I have an amazing relationship with my dad now. Um, and a lot of women, don't necessarily get to experience that closure from things that we've had to deal with when we were younger, um, or issues that in relations to our parents. So I consider myself very blessed that me and my dad had that conversation that day, um, because I get to share this story and I get to say, you know, after growing up with him when I was a child and thinking that my father was this violent, aggressive person and that was all I would know, to seeing him over the past 21 years of my life being a gentle, nurturing giant who is at times the mediator in our family has been absolutely remarkable. And I think for him, and I don't want to speak for him, but I think when his father passed, and that sort of was also like a wake up call for him that hey, I have these kids who, even though they are adults, he believed that he still had an opportunity to be a father. And I think that's one thing that parents um, that we have to remember as parents, that our children are going to need us in adulthood. And in my adulthood, I don't know what I would have done without my father. Um, so if you have an estranged relationship with any one of your parents, just know that, you have to always do what's best for you. And most definitely don't allow yourself to be in a situation that's toxic. But if someone shows you um, genuine change that coincides with their words, then I would like seek, counseling if you need it to work through those issues, and bring just a level of peace to yourself, whatever that looks like. For me, that peace ended up being a wonderful relationship with my father for the past 2 decades. And that's an amazing thing for me to have. And I consider myself blessed to have it. And so I just wanted to share that story with you all. No rhyme or reason, but I just wanted to talk about my daddy. All right. Be sure to check out the blog and the website at laquanda.com. Bye, y'all.